It's me. I'm back. How are you? How are you all? I'm still getting set up. I was not ready to start streaming, but I hit the button. And I think I actually started streaming it on YouTube at first. So, we're just getting ready. I want up. Me and my one screen monitor is killing me. I'm just kidding. We're doing good. I got new layouts. That's fine. It's been so good. I streamed on like the 12th, so it's been like 17 days since I streamed. I was planning to stream last week. I just didn't get a chance to. I went on itch.io and I picked out some games that I thought at least I would like. Because I like picking games that I think I would like. So, hold on. I'm just pulling Stream Manager up on my phone because I have one monitor and it is a bitch. I hope you guys can hear me. That would be nice. I have to turn my headset down. Holy shit. Ah. Wait, let me pull the game up. We can at least still get it. I don't know if I connected it. I didn't. Oh god, what's new since 17 days ago? That's a good question. Not much, not much. I need this open. Making sure it opened it. Okay, perfect. Working. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Things are working, surprisingly. Usually it doesn't work like that. I'm just hoping this pops up because I have to interact with it. I hope not. Clicking! Can I hit F11? Why is it not working? Oh, that's the audio. That's why it's not working. I'm a silly geese. Game capture. There we go. You should also be able to hear it. Like the game now. Oh, why is it so... I really need to learn how to get my shit ready before I play. But yeah, how is everyone? I hope everyone is doing good. I got accepted to college. Crack a new one for that. Yeah, I got accepted to college. Um, oh yeah, I'm drinking Dr. Pepper. I forgot to open it when I was muted. I drew a potato. I'm using it as a, what do you call it? What do you call it when you put a glass on something? On like a table. A coaster. I'm using a potato as like a drawn potato as a coaster. I love the style of this, man. That's that's nice. So yeah, I went and I got a bunch of games off trending on HIO, and that's what we're doing today. It's exciting. I think I'm supposed to go up the slide, but I kind of want to walk around. Can I go this way up the slide? I hope so. I do not want to go that way up the slide. I'm good, actually. But yeah, got in college. That's exciting. What else did I do? I got another poem published, but it's under my real name, so I'm not sharing. Oh my lord. This is terrifying. I don't like that. That is scary. Um, Thinking about this, if I'm going down a slide, I'm like 12. Where are my parents? Or 6 or something. Can I jump? No, I can't. Why can't I jump? Can I crouch? Was the spacebar? Shift. Girl. Nope. Huh. I didn't know that. That's weird. Oh, yep. That's scary. What else has changed since I saw you guys last? I'm working at a law firm, which is weird. I don't want to do law. I ruined Christmas. That was fun. That was really fun. How did it get so dark so fast? I lost flashlight. Luckily, it still has some battery left. Yeah, thank God. I think I should go home. I really do. That would be. Yeah, not much has changed. But yeah, I got into 6 out of 5 programs at college, which is always fun. Ooh, what's it? Small town tragedy. A small town is mourning a mass missing persons case at local park continues to go unsolved. Reports say both children and adults missing. Detective working on the case shed light on its peculiarity, saying if they're not it's as disappearing into thin air. He asks anyone that has any information pertaining to the case, or if anyone spots one of the victims, please contact law enforcement. Old newspaper. This seems pretty new. Just saying. Wee. Do like? Can I do like a 3? That was not a good bang bang. After her, this is really loud. Oh, I forgot to hold on. Can I turn the sound up? We're going extra wide. We're doing this like my Minecraft screen. Like my Minecraft screen. I need a tab. I have so many tabs open, man. I always forget to turn my music off when I start playing games. What's sensitivity? I probably need higher sensitivity. What? I'm bad for jitter clicking. Resume. Resume. And then we go again. Okay, that's sensitive. Next up. I'm gonna play. Rockalops. Ooh. Oh, what this reminds me of? There's a bush near my house. That reminds me of this. It's got like the same looking trees. Instead of a random slide and stuff, it's got like a little ice rink in the middle. No one's fallen through it yet. Ice. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh, get me the fuck away from that shit. Oh, no. Are we stuck in a time? What the fuck is that? Guys, I think we're not alone. Do you think it'll go forever if I just stay here? Let me take a sip of my Dr. Pepper. Is there anything else? Oh, we're standing in blood. We have to get close to do it. Oh, my God. If I know anything from watching horror movies, usually you say fuck this shit and go home. I think I just leave. How far can I walk? Not far. I feel like there should be a secret ending where you can just fucking go home. I like that. I like that a lot. No reason I'm fucking home. I won't do this shit with other people. I think I have to go through the slide. I don't think I'm getting an option. I silly goose and turned up my headset again. I don't like loud noise. It's gonna scare the shit out of me. I am not good. I disdain horror games. I don't know why I play them at all. Hmm. Well, off to die we go. And is there blood in the slide? Oh, what was that? Oh, wait, can I go? Oh, there goes a flashlight. Love that for me. It's a vent duct. I think the fact that we can't move very fast is making it worse. See, I can climb up this. Why can't I just climb back up this slide? Why is everything green? Like, my least favorite color. I'm just kidding. I actually quite like it. Can I just stare? Something eventually just gonna come and get me. I hope not. I'm just fixing my bracelet. It fell off. Why can't I move forward? Oh, there we go. Another slide. Is the game broken? Oh, it's Naztec Temple. That's what. Hold up. I have a question. I'm sorry. I had to do something last night and I forgot. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. I'm back. Ah. Hello again. Oh shit, hold on. I put chat away. I can't see anything. That's such a... Like, did I forget? What? I keep turning it off. I am stupid. But in, like, a friendly way. I'm stupid in the way I don't know how to do math. Let's just go around the perimeter first. If anything, if any kind of first-person shooter game says, go around the perimeter and check it out. I hear that. Don't like this. Why do I do this to myself? Need to remove chain. This horror game does a good job at scaring the fucking shit out of me. I don't like this at all. I feel like I'm gonna have to run shortly. I don't remember how to crawl. What the fuck is it? I'm scared. Not really. This game. Why do I always get stuck here? I'm holding it down! I feel like there's a more efficient way to do. We. Am I just supposed to hit space? No, I'm just space. Okay. I feel like I'm getting chased and I shouldn't turn around. But I also feel like I'm supposed to turn around. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm being whiny. I need to shut up. I need to sneeze, actually. Probably because my nose hurts. Did I mention I've been like sick a little bit? Past like couple getting off sick days. Like just random days where I'm like, can't do it. Oh, we're just sliding now. I still feel like I'm gonna get chased. Why is there no chase sequence? Why is it getting brighter? Oh, we're just back to the slide. Oh, it's gone. That's okay. Go home. That's okay. Slide in the woods. I... That did not feel scary enough. At all. That was not scary. What other games? I forgot. I at least okay. I at least took them out of their field. Well, I'm just getting stuff ready, so I'm gonna switch your screens. Feel free to do whatever you would like for a second post. Bum, 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 da, 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 bum, bum, ooh, let da, da. I'll turn the music back on as well. That's probably gonna be nice for a second. Have I been double? Okay, I haven't muted. I was like, have I been double playing my audio? Because like that would not be cool. That's just something. I told that change title. I don't know. Why is my mouse stuck? Why can't I move my mouse? Well, let me have to exit the game for a second so I can fix stuff. Hold on. That's not very chill. That's not very cash money. Perfect, there we go. Actually, I might be able to have everything open at once. That's it. Can you see my screen? Oh my. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. You know why? Because it locks my mouse the second that I get to it. Go to sources. I can't even see the. Okay. I can't see the full screen. So we're just gonna hope that you guys can see. Oh, she has big mouth. Honka honka, my friends. Jesus. Well, she was on a rabbit. Damn. What's her name, Big Mama? She kind of, she kind of reminds me of someone that I worked with when I worked at a little bakery. Oh my stars! I am tired. Woo! What a long day. Seems like I've been getting home later and later. Mama rabbit, damn. But that's just how it is sometimes. I ain't giving up. I try and better get some sleep. I'm gonna need to get up bright and early to cook breakfast for the little one. Bartleby's Bakery. Mama. Junior, what on God? I already forgot the voice. Okay, hold on. Junior, what on earth are you doing up this late? You know you have school tomorrow, but Mama, the man from the book is gonna get me, huh? What man? What book? Man in my storybook, see? The man from the window. The man from the window, give it here. Man from the window is quite the odd fellow. With his beady eyes and his shrunken nose, well, he just wants to say hello. Smiles from ear to ear. He wanders quiet night through alleys and back yards he goes, making sure to stay out of sight. He silently peers through windows, searching for the one thing and only, a new friend all he wants, for the man is very, very lonely. Once you hear tap, tap, tapping at the window, you know he's found a new friend to play. Now you only have 5 minutes before he takes you away. But do not fret, for staying in one places, the man's only peeved. Keep him at bay for another 5 minutes and he'll leave. The man is indeed very, very bold, so we'll check inside the place, which is cold. That's like a freezer. Walk when he will lurch. Place under the mirror is where he will search. The man in his element, doing what he does best, next he will look under the place where you often rest, not in. Bread is broken. Man has no use for trinket or token. He will now check. The bread is broken. Man has no friends, no family, no son, no daughter. He will check. Holds water. Right. I'm too young for reading stuff. I sat him outside, I really did. Because the book's free, no one ain't real. Get that con off the bed off. Blah blah. My dyslexia is taking it, man. At this rate, you won't want to wake up in the night, huh? Tap, tap, tap. Damn, he's out there. Come on, it's probably sure it ain't a monster. Tap, tap, tap. Junior, yes? Where'd you get this book from? It was on the table when I got home from school. You got it for me, right? Oh, dear lord, this ain't good. Okay. What are the... Huh? Junior? Follow me. Okay. How do I open doors? We'll put you in, like... that. Something about water. You'll be fine. I think. Not in here. I hide behind the lamp or, like, under the... No, that's where bread is. Oh, God! How do I escape this? I can't get out. Can I hide under the table? This is gonna look ridiculous. Exactly 2 p.m. when the man 2 a.m. when the man approached the front door. There is so Many words. Oh, we're supposed to. Okay, the doors left unlocked and unbarred, so we walked straight in. I do look ridiculous. The man looked inside the fridge. Nothing. But found nothing. We could have hid the kid in the fridge. Man looked under the sink. No. Okay, nothing. Nuh-uh. Because I didn't put the kid in there. It was 201. Under the bed? You're not gonna be under the bed, because I didn't put under the bed. That was my first thought, though, because that's where I would have hid. But he found nothing. It's now 2 a.m. I just didn't know what he means by where bread is broken. Oh, he's gonna find me. Oh god, that is ridiculous. And found his new friend. Okay. How do I re-look over the book? No, the kid. Mama, the man's gone. He can find out. Really, he's gone, Mama. Stop hiding, please. Mama. We're like mommy. I'm just kidding. That was gross of me. Start. Okay. You need to barricade the door. You need to hide the kid in the tub again. Or should I hide in the tub? Because I can't fit. So. I forget. So it's not in the fridge, not under the sink, not under the bed, not under the table. Oh, I need to grab my keys. I should be taking notes. I'm gonna forget all of this in like 2 minutes. Can I hide behind the lamp? I'm not reading this again. I just need to look at the book, but I don't know how to open it. Thinking of that, why are there two of them in one bed? Because I doubt they're fitting in the same bed with those knockers. Give it here. Okay. The man from the window is quite the odd fellow with his big beady eyes and sunken nose. Well, he just wants to say hello. Ear to ear. Alley's backyards. Tap tap tapping 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, back to Q. 5 minutes. We will check under the place where bread is broken. So not the table. Not the bed. Not there. Not in the freezer. Not the tub. No, that's the sink. Reload this. Okay. First things first. We run over here. How do I lock this thing? How do I lock it? Where else can I hit him? There and there. Here. Okay, move the fuck over, you dipshit. Stop! I'm gonna die! Move! Move! I'm stuck. Okay, I'm trapped again. Because Junior's a dipshit. If he's gonna do it in the same order, what door can I lock? And I'll just hide under here again, because he did check this last. Because I don't know. It was exactly 2 a.m. when the man approached the front door. The door was left unlocked, but the man was unable to open it. Abby and large couch had been pushed in front of the door. It took the man an entire minute to break through the barricaded door. So how do we lock the doors? It was now 2:01. I think I have to block and barricade it. Oh. Man looked under the table. He saw me first! Hey! No fair. That is no fair. I have to go through this. Well, hold on. I'm just trying to think. Not good at thinking, okay? I don't want to bring this up more so I can get her, but I really cannot see. Okay. So how do I lock the doors? That's my main thing. How do you lock the door? Like, that's my main thing. I'm still thinking, by the way. Because it's not letting me. So I grab my key. Okay. So the wash tub seems safe. But where do I hide? If anyone knows what I'm supposed to do, feel free to tell me. I'm not quite sure. I just need to look through the book again. Okay, Oddfellow. Ear to ear, backyards. Window searching for one friend. Tap, tap, tap. 5 minutes. I'm gonna put Junior under the table this time. Oh, dear load. Great keys. Oh wait, all I can look down and see. Ask. Why does it take so long to look away? How do I lock the door? This is so confusing. You know what? We can both fucking die. We have to figure out how to lock this door. What are the controls for this game besides wall and stuff? Tab, cycle inventory, L, left click, while holding keys. Okay, we need 2 tab. Okay, tab, left click or right click? Tab. Remember what it is. Tab. Okay, you're gonna need to open again so I can close my. There we go. I think this is. I think we got it this time. 2 a.m. when the man approached the door. Was unable to open it. I locked it. I locked it. The man, it was 2 a.m. You know you dare. Okay. Bathroom had been locked. 30 seconds. Okay, so that will slow down 30 seconds. Okay, I think I figured it out. 2, 2. Found nothing. Okay. Did I lock the bedroom door like I thought I did? That's the real question. I did. Game plan. New game plan. It takes a minute for him to look in every area. Lock all the doors in the house. Stick Junior under the table. Jump in the wash tub. Go up for. He was getting angry. Okay. Now he's gonna take Junior. Okay, we got a new strat. New strat. What is that? Is there a fire in here? Oh, sorry. It's the police. I'll find myself if I have to. I ain't lying. The man just broke and took it. Let him stop. Please find him, please. Big Mama Knockers is getting upset. Okay. Now, all we have to do is remember the strategy. Sure. We're gonna skip the intro scene because I have a plan. And if we don't, I won't remember the plan. It's not gonna work. Not gonna work. We're going through the intro scene again. Because I can't figure out how to skip it. I can't figure it out. Dun, dun. Figure it out. Hold on. I just realized I forgot to turn my music off again. I'm such a silly goose when it comes to remembering to turn my music off. Man from the window. Okay. First time's the charm. Get it here. I wish you would like close the window. It's quite an odd fellow, big and beady eyes. Just wants to say hello. I was right clicking, not left clicking. That's what was wrong. I just can't figure out left and right. One day I'm gonna get it right on my wrist, just left and right tattooed. Oh. Picked up keys. Um. Um. The nearest tiniest. Um. I'm gonna open the box of donuts and see if he fucking takes one. Okay. Game plan. I think we're good. We should be. Because I think I locked the door. What? Bullshit. I locked that door. 201. Man spotted a box of donuts. Is he gonna eat all of our donuts? It's 202. He ate all of our donuts. What the hell? I mean, it sold them. Dude, I think it's so funny that he just walked past everyone. That's hilarious. 203. Take. Hey, no fair. No fair. That was not fair at all. Snap, snap. Oh, poor little bitch boy. Left alone. Ah. Man from the window. Let's try again. Press X to X. Give the intro scene to the love of God. Don't want to rewatch it. Hold on. Skip intro. X. No. Oh. You know what song I really like right now? Frog Lobster. Frog Lobster's all my stars belong to X. Yeah, I could click X and it's all like You guys hear what I'm at my keyboard? That'd be such a good Clash of Clans. Like keyboard mashing. Let's say, okay, so it's supposed to go mirror. What's broken? I hope you can hear me keyboard mashing. I don't want to watch this. Sorry, I missed the exact step. Tab, tab, blocked. Move the couch. You here. Follow me. Hide him under the table. Hide, little boy. Hide. Perfect. Try hiding behind the lamp. I wish I could like shut. Tab. Lock. Oh, fuck. That's a voluptuous hips. Right in the washroom. Okay. I think this is the end. I think we might have gotten it. 2 a.m. Door had been locked. He spent 30 seconds and a large heavy catch. That's 2. No, that's 1.5. Could it be 2:01 when he finishes all our donuts? Go to. Okay. So should be 202.5, 203. I shouldn't spot my big ass in him. Got nothing. But So I should be hiding him under the bed? Okay. We have the new meta. Is that the right word? I don't think so. I don't fucking know what that means. Man from the window. How many times have we played this channel from the window? Way too many. At least two. Two attempts. I lied. It's more like six, but two's such a better number. Rock lobster. Rock lobster. Rock lobster. Have you guys ever listened to Rock Lobster? I just found out it's in this, not in this Family Guy. I got so excited. I had to watch the whole fucking episode. Rock Lobster. Oh my stars. I'm gonna start using that unironically. Oh my stars. Oh. Man, what book? Man from the window. Get it here. Okay. So. Okay, first. Mirror. Hold. Why does he... Okay, but it says it should be... Why is he checking under the table instead of under the bed? We'll do this first. Because we're already here. Oh fuck, I can't do it now. Oh! Ugly. We threw this one. We're gonna have to restart. Oh, that exited the whole game. He just reloaded. In a place where I can actually see what's going on. Okay, perfect. Now I can see, I can still recall. I can on. I can feel. It's our last summer together because we're gonna fucking die. Oh, please bundle your spacebar. Don't even start with me today. I've been all over. Who put a bunch of batteries in my... What? They're not even the good batteries. What kind of batteries are these? Triple A? Those don't even taste good. I came to get a mint, by the way. My breath stinks. Oh. Nom nom nom. I feel like it's rude to eat on stream, but I don't care. The man from the window. I can do it too. If I tried tapping on someone's window, I think I'd accidentally punch through it. But that's just me. That's my own thing. Oh yeah. We have to go around first. Grab the keys. Open the box. Lock the door. Always manage to get equip your keys because we're smart. We're so smart. They locked. But why did you look? Okay, we're gonna put Junior under the bed. And watch this be the time that he actually looks under the bed first. Watch it. I fucking bet you. Did I open the box? I forgot to. No, I didn't. Watch me forget something. Bet you I did. 2 a.m. Door. Door's locked. 30 seconds. An entire minute. 1:30. 2:01. My donut trap works. Uh-huh. 2:02. Go to the bathroom. Have a panic attack looking under the mirror. Another 30 seconds. 2:03. Next, it should be the fridge box. But he better go in order this time. He's not going in order. I don't think he is. No, it's... Oh, I figured it out. I'm stupid. No one. Because it was 2:04. Are you saying I should hide my kid in the fridge? He's skipping. No fair. Okay. I am so confused. I thought I had how to beat it. I don't get it. Why is it not working? That should be right. Should I just Google it? I'm not gonna Google it. That would be so stupid. I figured out one thing. Hello?
Oh, I was just making sure you could my movie from upstairs.
No, I can't hear your movie. It's all good.
Okay.
Wait, come back! Come back! Come here. Everyone loves you. Say hi to Chad. Don't say anything rude.
Hi, chat.
Hello. 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 You're playing Man from the Window.
You're playing what?
Man from the Window.
Ooh.
Ooh. Yeah. My Minecraft broke again, so we're playing games. Bye! Enjoy your movie! There's my sister. I like her. She's pretty good. I lost chat again. Where'd chat go? There we are. Okay. I have to quickly be fixing our chat. Why can't I just get a fork and then stab him? I missed the lock again. What? Oh yeah, I forgot. Mm-hmm. We're gonna stick you in the freezer, little boy. I think we got it. Yeah, that's 30 seconds, and that's a minute 30. That's 2:30, so that's 2:02. Hey! I swear to God, it's been changing every time. I don't get what I'm doing wrong. Doubt. I guess I was just a little time. Okay. Consistently, I feel like we should not be in the wash tub. But he's only looked in there once. So I feel like someone should be in the wash tub. And we should be somewhere else. But I think under the table and under the washtub are the only two places we can hide. I'm conflicted. Very conflicted. We're just gonna keep going. Mama, mama, mama. Hanging from the window, baby boy. And from the window, the man that's been watching us our entire lives from outside the window. Five minutes. Very bold. Bold. Elements. Rest. Broken. Under the mirror. Water. Oh, we should both be in the bathroom. Okay. Okay. This is my one of my final guesses. I don't know. I'm lost. 2:31. So usually it's under the sink, table, freezer, bed, wash tub is what it said. And I don't know why this pattern keeps getting broken. Something told, red. Should be under the sink next. If he keeps going, under the bed. So I think we should both be in the bathroom. That's what I'm hearing, at least. We should both be in the bathroom. Maybe that's what we're supposed to do, because I'm not sure. Why do I have a mature rating on my stream? I don't think I say anything that bad. Do I? Do I really? I kinda do. Sorry, I just noticed that. I was like, what? Hey, hold on. Ah! Mama. Stream markers. It's something that says it on my phone. I have no idea what it does. I did press it. Okay. Man from the window is quite an odd fellow. Beady eyes. Night. Backyards. Okay. We have tried so many combinations that I'm not sure. Because the first one is... Okay, hold on. Back. Oh, it changes. First is bed. Mirror. Bread. Freezer. Okay, so it seems like... Is it bread freezer or freezer bread? We're gonna put Junior in the freezer. Because I think it might change each time. Okay. We're gonna get our keys. We're gonna make our little bait box. Open the box. We're gonna lock the door. Tab, tab, left click. Move this bad boy. 2 minutes. Run the door. I think we got it this time. I'm really, really sure we got it. Oh, okay, hold on. Mirror, bread. Okay, cool. After this, I don't know what to do after this. I'm not sure. Hold on. I gotta close this door first. I gotta back up. Lock that. It's stuck. It's decide. You need to go this way. Lock this door and get the tub. I hadn't locked up. I think we got it this time. Or I'm hoping we got it this time. I really do hope. 2 a.m. Door's locked. 30-second. And then it should be a minute. Did I forget? Okay. I didn't forget to barricade the door. That's good. And then it should be another 2 minutes eating the, or another minute eating the donuts. I don't know how he eats that many donuts so fast. This man is a world champion for eating donuts. It's 2:02. I forgot where we crammed the little one. Bedroom door, 30 seconds. We put him in the freezer, didn't we? Or the fridge. Good, 3. I didn't notice. I didn't notice it changed each time. I would have finished so much faster if I did. Okay. I'm surprised he never sees me. Under the sink? Nothing. Because I never put him under the sink. Because I would have lost again if I did what my gut instinct said. We're gonna make it! Oh! Victory seems so good. But he found nothing and it's 2:05. The man's time was up and he knew it. He quickly as he arrived, the man from the window left. And he ran so fast. We did it, guys! We did it! Oh, here's Big Mama Rabbit coming through. Is he gone? He's gone, don't worry. Hooray! I knew you could do it! Oh no, what? Mama, he ate all the donuts. I wanted one. Oh goodness, child, don't scare me like that. I'll bring you home some from work tomorrow, okay? And Junior, huh? No more cursed books, alright? We ain't up to dealing with that again. What are we gonna do about the woman from the door? The who? Haha, just kidding. Sigh. What am I gonna do with you, huh? Ah, we finished! Made it through! The man from the window! 1 star? Is that all I can get? I hope that's all I can get, like the 1 star. I don't know if there's any more. I hope not. And then I'm just gonna da da da. And let me pull up the next game. Or is that all the games I had for today? Oh shit, that is. Well, thank you guys so much for watching today's stream. You hope everything is going good. That's all the games we had for today. We were originally gonna play Minecraft, but my Minecraft isn't working. Like I think my files have corrupted again, which is not good. So I'm gonna try and fix that later. Um, if not, we can't finish. We can't do any more of our Super Flat series, which sucks. 'Cause I really like that series. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a good night. Meet Hawa. Hawa, goodbye. Bye, guys.